This is one of the easiest ITX builds I've done and something you'll definitely want to take a look at. It's compact, quiet, well cooled, and can play basically anything you'd want. I'm targeting high frame rate 1440p here, but it can absolutely handle games in 4K. So let's build it, then take a look at some gaming benchmarks. So I'll be using the Intel i5-13600K for the CPU. This CPU has 14 cores, 6 of which are performance cores, and can boost up to 5.1 GHz. This CPU performs extremely well in games and is considered one of the best gaming CPUs to buy from some outlets. I was able to grab the 13600K on sale from Best Buy for $350. Now, with the 13600K, you can use DDR4 or DDR5 memory, making it compatible with some less expensive motherboards. However, for this build, I'll be using the latest generation DDR5 memory, specifically 32 gigs of Corsair's Vengeance 5600 MHz memory. I was able to pick up this set on sale from Amazon for around $120. You'll want to pick something lower profile, otherwise if you were to try to use something taller like Corsair's Dominators, the case won't be able to close. For the motherboard, I went with the Asus ROG Strix B760i. Importantly, it supports our DDR5 memory, it has plenty of USB ports, Wi-Fi 6E, USB-C on the back, and a USB-C front panel connector, which we will need in our case. It also has 2 M.2 slots and these giant VRM heatsinks. I think it looks pretty good as well, so I picked this up from Amazon for around $220. For the storage, I just went with the Samsung 970 EVO Plus. A 1TB stick is plenty for me, but there is that additional slot if you ever need to add more in the future. On this motherboard, the second slot is located on the back, but that shouldn't be too difficult to access if we need it. I picked this up on sale as well from Best Buy for $55. Alright, the case I'll be using is the NZXT H1 V2. This is an awesome case to work in. You can pick this up in all black, or what I went with is the white version. I think the two-tone white and black looks really clean, and it takes up very little space on your desk, and it's what makes this build so much easier. It includes a 140mm liquid cooler, which should be sufficient for the i5, a PCI Express Gen 4 riser for the graphic card, and a 750 watt power supply with pre-routed cables. It's frequently been going on sale at Best Buy for $200, which is an insane value for everything you're getting here. Now we will need to install the mounting hardware for the water block. This is pretty easy to do. Just align the included backplate through the 4 holes in the back of the motherboard, and then install the 4 standoffs on the other side. Now, typically at this point in the build, we would install the RAM. However, they can get in the way when trying to plug in the front IO and USB. So we're going to do that later and move on to installing the motherboard into the case. So now we can unscrew these 2 screws at the top here and flip out the radiator. Then slide the motherboard in through the side and align it with the standoffs. Then use the screws included with the case to secure it to the 4 standoffs. On the right side of the motherboard, we have the front IO, USB-C front panel connector, and the USB 3.2 Gen 1 header that we can plug in. Then we can plug in the HT audio connector and the USB on the bottom. Now plug in the 24-pin motherboard connector on the right and the 8-pin CPU power connection at the top. Your motherboard may have these connections at different locations than mine, so be sure to read your manual. Now we're just going to tidy up the cables to make room for the water block installation. So if your water block already has thermal paste applied, then you should be good to use that. Otherwise, you'll just need to apply your own thermal paste onto the CPU and you'll be ready to mount the cooler. So now we can align the cooler with the 4 standoffs, then tighten with the 4 thumb nuts. I like to go in an X pattern when tightening to ensure there's an even pressure across the CPU. Okay, so now that everything is out of the way, we can install the RAM. You'll just want to make sure that the notch is correctly aligned and then apply even pressure until you hear both ends click. Now, we want to make sure that we connect the pump from the AIO. My motherboard recommends using the AIO pump header, so that's what I'm going to be using. But again, you may want to refer to your manual if you are using a different motherboard. Then lastly, we can plug in the PCI Express riser cable. This one can actually be a little tough as it's pretty tight. You'll just need to pull it up to create as much slack as possible, then align it with the PCI Express slot and push it until you hear it lock. Now we can close the radiator and screw it back in. Okay, time to install the GPU, and I chose the Gigabyte 4070 Ti Eagle OC. The 4070 Ti is pretty readily available these days. I picked mine up from Newegg for $850, and it has decent performance. It can run pretty much any resolution, and it can run 1440p, especially at very high frame rates. So yeah, I think the 4070 Ti is a pretty good GPU. It's around 20% faster than the 3080, and close to 7900 XT in performance, but slightly less expensive and with less power consumption. This card is 301mm in length and 61mm in height, which is 3mm more than recommended for this case, but it still fits nicely. I tried to fit the Asus TUF 4070 Ti, which has a thicker cooler and is 65mm in height, but you won't be able to easily slide the cover back onto the case without removing the dust filter and modifying the panel. So I would recommend checking the dimensions of your card and making sure it's closer to the recommended 58 millimeters in height. Now we can connect the power cables from the GPU by lifting this door here. We can connect the two 8-pin power connectors to the adapter included with the 4070 Ti. I actually found there's enough room behind the door to hide most of the adapter, keeping everything looking really clean here. The only thing left to do is turn it on, jump into the BIOS, and set our memory to XMP. Then we can create a Windows installation drive to install our operating system. And that's the entire build complete. And I think that the build looks pretty clean. I really love how compact it is, and the two-tone white and black has a really nice look. So taking a look at gaming benchmarks, and yeah, I'm really happy with the performance on this machine. We're getting really high frame rates here in 1440p, and 4K gaming is looking great as well on all the titles tested here in high settings. I think I would pair this with a high refresh rate 1440p monitor myself. I've got my eye on the LG Ultra Gear 27 OLED display, but I could also see this working out great as a living room gaming PC hooked up to a big 4K display. For GPU thermals, I ran Heaven Benchmark for over an hour, and I'm averaging 67 degrees Celsius, and the system's fan noise is hardly audible at all, even while sitting only a couple feet away from me on the desk. Running a multi-core test in Cinebench R23, and the i5 definitely gets pretty hot. So you'll want to be mindful if you plan to use a machine like this for extensive CPU tasks. This is not an issue at all in gaming. I am seeing the CPU and GPU averaging in the mid 60s, which are very reasonable temps for a small form factor system like this. So yeah, for around the $1,800 mark, I think that this is a really good build if you want to have something that's easy to put together, compact, and with great cooling. And yeah, if you want to build something similar, I'll have all the parts listed in the description of the video. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.